What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Founder Academy. I am Mark, the FUT founder. We just finished watching Man United, so we will get into that in a second. They just got knocked out of the Champions League by Atletico Madrid. But before we chat about that, if you guys could like the video, comment down below, and if you're new to the channel, welcome, and please hit that subscribe button. Every follow helps. So thank you in advance. Let's get into this. I usually don't talk too much about real world football, but as a United fan, I'll tweet about it. If you guys don't follow me on Twitter, I'll actually bring my Twitter up. I just changed my handle, funny enough, so I can't remember what I changed it to. Oh yeah, at Real Fut Founder. So at Real RealFutFounder. So at Real Fut Founder on Twitter. I love interacting with you guys. I try to interact with people in the FIFA community as much as possible, but of course you'll get some morons that are, in comment sections and Twitter and stuff. And Twitter can be a real cesspool of stuff, but I try to just have, rational commentary about it. I try not to get too emotional, but United just piss me right off all the time. I don't know why. They are let's be real, guys. Anybody who's a United fan, which I get quite a few United fans following me just because you're a passionate bunch just like I am, and you kind of follow people that follow the same teams as you. So I follow United stand in a lot of these very biased, one-sided forums or Twitter accounts or whatnot, and I do love kind of hearing what they have to say, but sometimes it can also be just very, very one-sided, or I just totally don't agree with their thought process. So here's my take on him. I have said for years and years and years that United's biggest issue is their attack. Watching them play Atletico's a really ratty team. Let's call a spade here. The refereeing was terrible today, and generally I don't blame referees. I don't blame them. I don't blame him for the loss, but I don't think he also helped. But Atletico's one of those teams that just grind it out. Like Diego Simeone plays, or he manages like he played, which is just grinding, frustrating to play against. Anybody who kind of remembers him from that '98 team that knocked out England in the World Cup, I think they'll know what I'm talking about. But he was notorious for that, right? He was just that kind of leader on the field and off the field now, and he's taught his team to play like that, right? A lot of time wasting, a lot of falling over, it just grind out these wins, and it might not be pretty, but it's effective. United don't have an attack, and that's their biggest issue. And I've said this for a really long time, but a lot of it has to do with their midfield. They don't properly put midfielders in place, and I don't understand what the mentality is behind their decision making of who they play. I'm not a huge Fred fan, but I understand that he's been playing well recently. I would be okay with him being that kind of anchor who just sits in front of that back line, but you can't have him and McTominay play side by side. They're just, neither of them have enough creativity to really move the ball at pace. And the bigger issue for me is McTominay. I've talked to so many United fans that just love Scott McTominay. They just do. They just go, oh, he plays for the badge. And he encompasses a lot of what I think people want to be the new Roy Keane. But he's not Roy Keane. And regardless of whether he's plays like Roy Keane or not, the game has changed a lot. So you can't be just a hard tackling midfielder that just tackles and doesn't do anything else. It's just all over the field and plays for the badge. You need to be a ball moving midfielder, because the game has changed a lot since the times of the Roy Keanes and even the Nicky Butts of the world, right? I would much rather have a Paul Scholes than a Roy Keane in today's day and age, because a guy that can take the ball, look up, and distribute is so important, right? People jump down Thiago Alcantara for not being on the score sheet as much, but if you watch him, the way he moves the ball is very, very pretty. He gets it, and he gets it going. He distributes. He collects from the back line, lets the defenders do their job, and then he distributes. If you watch United, everything it's from the center backs out wide, and then they get stuck on the wings because there's no midfield presence. McTominay gets the ball, he looks side to side, he turns, and all that's doing is all these teams just rush back into a defensive shell. It happened today, and they can't break it down. There was no play through the middle, and that's okay. I understand that there's a lot of clogging in the middle from the defensive side, but you need to be able to break that down. You can't just go side to side, because the teams are just moving, and then it goes around the back to the other side, and the team just moves and watches on that side, and then they just put a bunch of bodies in the middle. You have to be able to mix it up. It's what City do. City do it really well. When you've got, you used to have David Silva doing it, but now you've got Bernardo, you've got Kevin De Bruyne, you've got, who else is in the midfield? Rodri's decent at that. Rodri's a really good pivot to just play at that holding midfielder. But you can't have a guy who just takes the ball, turns, and plays it back. And that's what McTominay does. And when you add in Harry Maguire, who's just an absolute donkey, I'm sorry, guys, but he is. Like, I've never been a huge Harry Maguire fan. He's way too slow. He's way too terrible with the ball. And he's not good enough defensively. I don't understand what people's thing is with him. And I understand his confidence is low, but look, it's not going to turn around at United. This is too much of it's a snake pit, right? Like, you need to be able to be thick-skinned and play through it and actually change things. And if your confidence is low, like Marcus Rashford, like Harry Maguire, it's probably better that you go cash in on them, because United have not done a very good job of asset management. They take guys, they bury them, and next thing you know, they dish them off for nothing. Like, look at Donny van de Beek. Donny van de Beek, to me, is a very, very good player. He's a pass and move guy. He got no opportunities at United. I don't know if there was something going on behind the scenes that people didn't like him, or if they just don't believe in his ability. But like, if you played him a lot, I guarantee you he could play that holding midfielder role. Played him next to Fred. Figure out a way to get Bruno and Pogba to work. But the reality is Pogba's probably gone, because they've just destroyed his confidence. I'm a huge Pogba guy, not just because I find him entertaining, but I think that finding a really, really good distributing midfielder is the hardest thing in the world to find. Everyone thinks it's a striker, but there's a ton of strikers out there. Finding that really, really good midfielder, that center mid, is the hardest position to play, because you have to be able to control the entire pace of the game. You have to be able to distribute, and he does it very well, but United haven't figured out a way to make him work. He doesn't really fit in a 4-2-3-1, and if you're going to play him in that like attacking midfield role, which he's best suited at, you got to play him a lot. And unfortunately, United fans are just obsessed with Bruno. And it's okay. Bruno's a better goal-scoring midfielder. I'm not a huge fan of Bruno. I think he's okay. I know that's a very controversial take. I think he just scores goals and people, their eyes light up, right? But if you can have Bruno play consistently in that attacking midfielder role and actually distribute well, he gives the ball away a little too much for my liking. He tries to make too many heroic passes. I would like to see him just shooting more, to be honest with you. I think he needs to be more of like an actual like attacker necessarily than more of a ball distributor, right? But they need the midfielders. They need those two pivot midfielders. If they're going to play two, like at 4-2-3-1, they need to be like a Donny and a Fred, or somebody else and Fred, because you can't have McTominay and Fred, because they just kill the flow. As soon as the ball gets to both of them, Fred's gotten a little bit better, but you can't have McTominay back there. He takes too long to distribute, and next thing you know, the team's just gone up and set up shop. Offensively, they're side to side. I like the way Jadon Sancho's really evolved, but today he just got locked down by a very, very good defender in Llorente, even though he was really dirty today. He did what he needed to do to lock down Jadon Sancho. They don't have any presence coming off the right. I'm not a huge fan of Dalot. Obviously Wan-Bissaka, for whatever reason, United's lost confidence in him, even though he was such a great defensive player. Attacking-wise, he offers very little, right? So they've been playing Diego Dalot, but Diego Dalot's not good enough. He's just a body out there. Like, he doesn't do anything. He doesn't distribute properly. He doesn't cross the ball. He doesn't defend very well. He's just okay. He's a backup. I just would rather not have him out there. But they don't really have a true winger. Unfortunately, what happened with Mason Greenwood, not for his sake, but for what happened, just that whole ordeal, right? It's unfortunate for United that, he ended up being who he was, and they really took a very generational talent, a guy who was a pure goal scorer, and now you don't have that. Rashford has lost his confidence, so who's going to play on that right-hand side? You got to go out and you got to find someone that can distribute the ball. But I think the biggest thing is just that midfield. They need midfielders that can play that cutting pass. Bruno doesn't get the ball. He has to come back too deep in order to collect. He needs to get the ball in attacking positions, and whose fault is that? It's the holding mids that are not getting the ball to the attackers properly. So that's my whole take on it. I don't think it's a Ronaldo thing. I don't think Cavani's not a really great passer. He's just a tap in merchant, right? Which is what it is. I don't mind it. He can finish, but again, he's not getting the service either, right? So there's strikers, which are few and far in between. They don't get any service. They're just on islands up there, and they dump these balls into the box and expect Ronaldo to rise above a keeper and head it in. It doesn't work like that. There's no attack. There's no shots coming from basically anywhere on the field. When they've shot, they've scored, and they just don't shoot. When's the last time you remember watching a United game where they were just peppering shots? So what does that tell you? And a lot of that has to do with the midfield. You can't have Fred being the only guy who's going to shoot because he's a terrible shooter. I don't think McTominay can create his own shot, and I don't think the wingers get the opportunity because they're just playing against too many defenders. There's too many guys bogging up the box, so you need to be able to have cracks and have guys like Kevin De Bruyne who can just hit something from in and around the area. Bernardo Silva, somebody that can at least create some opportunities from outside the box that will at least keep people on their toes, because if you're just trying to dump in crosses, teams are just going to fall back, right? They're just going to sit there and clear. They're going to sit there and clear, and they're going to counter, and you're going to get exactly what you got today, which is Atletico had one counterattack, and then they dropped 10 men into their own box. It was disgusting. It was disgraceful. It's an insult to the sport that I love, right? I hate watching that, but that is what it is. It's just a terrible thing to have to watch. It's a beautiful game, and they make it gross, but those teams exist, and you're going to get them in the Premier League, right? You get a ton of teams that are below the breaking point of the bottom half of the table, and they're just going to continue to do that too, and they're going to try to beat United and beat all these teams that can't knock them down. If you can't beat a team that just sits in a defensive shell, you don't deserve to win anything. So anyway, that's my rant for the day in terms of United. I don't know. I'd be interested to hear from United fans on what you guys think. It's 5 years now that they have not won a trophy, and that's unacceptable by their standards. Not necessarily because United deserve a trophy, but because the amount that they're paying these players, something's wrong. I'm hoping that they bring in Erik ten Hag. I don't know. I was expecting more from Ralf Rangnick. I don't know if it's his fault or if it's just the club in general. If they're not letting him play the system or letting him do what he needs to do, but there is something wrong in that team where they are not producing the results that they should be with that lineup. Because I bet you I guarantee you, if you gave that lineup to Pep, you'd see an entirely different team. If you took every single one of those players and put a Man City shirt on them, you're getting a different team, right? If Ronaldo had gone to City, I hate to say that, but if he'd gone to City, you'd see a different player, right? It's only his pure skill that's gotten him even the amount of goals that he scored this year, because he's had almost no supply, a shockingly low amount of supply. They do not have enough offense, and it's been like that for years. Defensively, everyone wants to just blame Harry Maguire. I think Maguire's been terrible, but it's not his fault. Right? They let in one goal and everybody's yelling at Maguire, yelling at the defense, yelling at David De Gea. When you lose 1-0, it's not the defense's fault. It's the offense's fault for not scoring a goal. You're not going to move on in the Champions League winning or scoring one goal in 2 legs. And if you think that they deserve to, you're just as delusional as their board of directors. So anyway, I apologize if that's insulting to people, but guys, you need to wake up. What are we talking about here? They are really, really not the team that I think people expect them to be. But I don't know what the solution is in terms of what they need to do, because that lineup should be coming up with different results. That's my piece on who needs to go. I would revamp that midfield. I'm hoping that if they bring Ten Hag in, you'll actually see Donny come in and actually play a system where he can fit, because he's one of the only players that can pass and move. Juan Mata came on as a sub today and was the best player. I've said this for a really long time. Juan Mata, even though he's not necessarily in his prime, he's far from that, he's still one of their best attackers, because he's one of the only guys that passes and runs off the ball. I was watching them today. There's no movement at all. None at all, right? At least when Juan Mata plays, he's passing, he's moving, he's getting in defenders' faces. There's too much walking and just trotting around, and then they get hit and they're behind the 8 ball, and then they don't have the offensive awareness to attack properly and get back in the game. They get behind and they're stuck, and they just don't have that ability to get back into a game. So, man, it's really broken, but I'm hoping that if they can bring Ten Hag in, but I've said that before. I said that about Rangnick. I thought Rangnick was going to be better, but you know, you have to hope for something, right? So hopefully Eric Ten Hag's the answer, because if not, they've got just an even bigger problem that maybe we thought, right? Which is already a big problem. So that is what it is. I'm almost out of breath, guys. I apologize. Oh, that was really, really long-winded. What you guys are watching, though, on your screen is at the start, I think we played some division rivals where we were going in solo. And then now I believe this is some of the co-op stuff. So we ended up playing some more games with N-Bomb, Nima, my buddy. So fantastic FIFA player. Some of the things he does can be very frustrating. He loves a good chip, so there's a countless amount of times where I probably even edited half of the chips that he had, but he would take the ball in tight and he would always try to chip it over the keeper when all he had to do was round him or just hit it. Just hit the ball. But he tries to chip it sometimes. He tries to be a little too pretty. He also loves an extra pass. So there was a couple times where we were through on goal and he will just pass. So now I have to be aware if I'm coming through with him on a 2-on-1, or even if he's on a breakaway, that he might stop and look for a cutback and try to pass it. So I'm a little bit more aware than I used to be. But that just goes playing co-op. Co-op is very difficult, actually. You need to be quite good in terms of, understanding your partner and how they play and knowing their deficiencies. So I know that he's a very, very aggressive defender. He goes flying in. He's also a terrible defender, as much as I love him to death. He's not great defensively. He doesn't play defense in real life. He's an attacker. So he just goes flying in. So I know that if I see that blue icon go change to a defender, he's going to go beelining. So I have to pull a player over and cover for him. So we complement each other a little bit better in that sense. But we did come up against some really good opponents. There's a couple. I think we actually end up playing a couple more games after this episode in a future episode, which is only a couple days old. So this footage is about a week and a half old. But we come up against, now that we're getting higher in the divisions, against some really good co-op teams. And to play against a really, really good co-op team, normally when I'm playing solo and I come up against two players, I don't worry about it. But if you are playing against two guys that know what they're doing, man, it can be really, really difficult, because you've got two guys, one coming in, the other one making that manual run. It's very hard to track that properly, and also at the same time it's really, really hard to attack against them when you've got two guys that both know how to cover passing lanes. One can run at you and the other one's covering the passing lane really well. That can be just a huge problem. So you don't come up against them super often, but when you do, you're in for a very long game, because they are really good when they're really good. When they're bad, it's actually easier. So I found that in some of the middle divisions and lower divisions, when I come up against two players, all they're doing is pulling guys out of position, and they're opening up huge holes in their back line, and it becomes really, really easy. So I actually don't mind playing against two players, except for those rare occasions where you come up against really, really good guys. Icons. I have done some icon picks, which you guys will see in not the next episode. Well, maybe the next episode you might see it. The next episode is going to be FUT Champs, our FUT Champs run, our most recent one that we did. But I have gotten sucked into this FUT Champs rabbit hole where they release player picks. And I've said this a million times. I don't like icon packs because you're just stuck with whoever. I've done one icon pack and I got friggin' Steven Gerrard. And I do not want Steven Gerrard. I'm not a Liverpool fan, so I don't necessarily want him. And even if I could care less, he's not a very good card in FIFA. He's just not. He doesn't have any admirable traits. He's just a terrible card. And I got stuck with him. I have done about 3 or 4 player picks, and I've gotten none of the big guys. No Peles, no Maradonas, no Puskas, no Ronaldo. Who else? No Ronaldinhos, no Cruyffs, no Maldinis, not even a Lothar Matthäus. I had to do the manual Lothar Matthäus. This is a fantastic goal, by the way. This was one of my favorite goals that we've ever scored as a co-op. A little lob over the wall and then a manual run in and basically shot near post, and it just kind of chipped it far post, because the keeper comes out and a little tap goes into the far post. When you can score really nice team goals, I guess, from a co-op, it's very satisfying. So that was just one of my favorite ones. But anyway, in terms of icon packs, I have not packed one single guy. No Zidanes, no even an Eric Cantona. And I'm just so pissed off, and I'm sorry. I know this is really whiny, guys, but like I don't understand how they do icon packs. I've never packed an icon from any of these player picks or player packs or anything. I've never gotten one of the big guys. I've never gotten a Hullet. I've never gotten a Eusebio. The only ones I've ever done are when you have to craft them, and they're like 25 friggin' teams you got to craft. So they're always priced exactly. You might as well just go buy the card off of the market. But I know it sounds whiny, but please just give me one. Like one. Like I've had 14 players pop up and not one single one. I think the best one that I've got is a mid Rooney, right? And I'm not a big Rooney fan in this game. I like Rooney in real life. I liked him as a FIFA card in the past, but his icon card is just like worthless because it's got no weak foot, it's got no skill moves, and he's just big and kind of lumbersome. He's got a hard shot, but like I don't think it's representative of how good Wayne Rooney was in real life. Like icons, there's like the select, what is there, 100, just over 100, let's just call it 100 for the sake of argument here. Let's say there's 100 icons. There's about 20 to maybe 25 at the very most that are usable. There's probably, I don't know, you could say 15 that I would call squad battle worthy, and Rooney's one of those ones where you could go on squad battles and play. Fernando Torres is another one. Like I wouldn't necessarily recommend him at this stage in FIFA. He's not endgame. But he's one of those squad battle ones that you can just take offline and just play against like the computer and just destroy the computer because they're good offline, but like they're not good enough to play online. I've never got an online worthy player. Never. And again, I know it sounds like whiny and complaining because it is. I'm just pissy and moany. Like I was watching Zweback last night. He's packed mid Pele and then prime Pele in back-to-back player picks. I come up against these guys, they've got Johan Cruyff, they've got Eusebio, they've got all of these freaking guys. And like I've done every single one of these player pick packs that they've done over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I've got not a single guy. Like I'm just praying for one, like one of them. I don't need it to be prime Ronaldo. I really don't. But even like a mid Ronaldinho, like, you know what I mean? And I know that's asking for a lot, but the amount of like fodder that I've put into this, I could have bought friggin' mid Ronaldinho, right? Like Pele, I would die for even the mid Pele. I would just be like, unbelievable, right? Like a prime Cruyff. I've never had a Hullet in any FIFA. I've never even used Hullet, so I couldn't even tell you if he's good or not because I don't know. Like I know I could go sell things and probably go get a Hullet, but like I'm waiting for the day where I finally get one. And far be it from me. Maybe I can say like my pack luck is all taken up this year because I did pack Robert Lewandowski. But to me, it's like Robert Lewandowski was good because he got me a bunch of coins. But I've also put money on the game, right? Like I bought that literally. I had to buy that card. So I feel like I have no pack luck at all. Like this year especially, I've had nothing good come from these packs. Everything that I've got in my club right now is because of SBCs that they've released that I've just crafted, right? Like Icardi and Neymar, Raheem Sterling, player of the month, all the player of the months, like any of the flashbacks, all that stuff. I've had to like literally pay the cost of that card. I don't have one like blind player that's just come in, and I'm praying that it just, maybe they're saving it. But, you know, I haven't even packed Mbappe. I haven't packed Neymar. I haven't packed Ronaldo. I haven't packed Messi. Even their base versions, let alone any of the special ones. And I just don't understand where these guys are getting their pack luck. I'm looking at some of the other teams that I'm coming up against, or even some of my friends on my friends list, and they've got crazy teams of untradeable guys. Like, you know, every promotion that happens, like I'm on this game almost every single day doing the SBCs, the daily things that are coming out. I'm doing player picks. I'll do like the 85 by 3, the 85 plus by 3. I'll do the 87 by 6. Like I hedge my bets on the high rated packs and I never get anything out of them. It's always just fodder. And all I can use it for is like an icon SBC, and then the icon SBC will give me 3 junk players. So again, I apologize guys for being pissy and moany. I'm looking for any type of feedback on how to make my odds better. I know that is impossible because it's totally random, but if you guys had any tricks of the trade, have you guys had any luck? Have you any tips, right? I've seen people with all these crazy conspiracy theories. Oh, take a team or take a player out of your team. Like, look at this guy. He's got like team of the year Mbappe, right? There's no doubt in my mind that he did not buy that team of the year Mbappe. He probably packed it randomly, right? Anyway, so like I don't understand how the odds work or how luck works, but do you guys think that there is any luck with that? Do you think it is just luck? Or do you think that there's like, if you take your keeper out, you're more likely to get a keeper, right? If you put a bronze team as your main team, are you more likely to get a good player because the game thinks that you need an an injection of like high-rated players to compensate for your bronze team? Like, I'm looking for any feedback that you guys have on that, because right now I'm at a loss. It's just not working for me, guys. And yeah, I could use anything. I could use any benefit that you guys have on it. Prime Icon moments have come out, so they are obviously through the roof in terms of prices. There's none of them that I expect to probably get until later in the year, when they probably have SBCs, or when it's irrelevant because nobody's playing this game except for like super hardcores. But the Prime Icon moments have some interesting cards. One of the things that I thought was really bizarre with the Icon moments is that they are using the player models from their first year. So what I mean by that is, let's take Hullet, Ruud Hullet, right? They keep using Ruud Hullet, where he's got the mustache, it looks like, from the 1988 Euro, where they beat the Soviet Union or something along those lines. One of those is like the actual moment. And then when you see him in game, he's like the clean-shaven one. Or Roberto Baggio, it'll be like the one where he's got the ponytail, and I think they have the one where he's got the mullet, right? Like, so they're using what appears to be like the wrong player models. And the only thing that I can think of is that they are using the player models from the first iteration of Icon moments. So that first Ruud Hullet, when they introduced Prime Icon moments, the first Ruud Hullet was one of the moments where he had a clean shaven face, and they just associated Icon moments to that player model in game, and they continue to keep them. So it's really annoying because, like, you know, Henrik Larsson or Clarence Seedorf or whatever, you might get a one that's bald, and then your card has like the dreadlocked version, or vice versa. You got a card that you got a card that has the bald version, and then in game he's got like the dreadlocks or whatever, right? So you kind of want the card to represent what you're looking at in game, but unfortunately it doesn't work like that. I don't know why, but they just don't have it. They don't have it like synced properly, I guess. So it's something that it seems like a small fix. I wish they would just change that. I don't know if they are capable of it, but hopefully they figure that out. One of the other things that's really been annoying me recently has been a lot of this kickoff. Like, I know I've addressed this in previous FIFAs, but like the kickoff glitch where people just run right off of kickoff, it has worked crazy well for a lot of ridiculous reasons. Like, I'm coming up against these guys, and as soon as the game starts, they just run at my defense. And it's the same thing. They get it, and then they run in that curved circle. And as long as you shoot for between the left back or the right back and the closest center back to them, you basically shoot for that gap. You can bend around, and it works so well. And if you don't time your offside trap right off the start of the game, the guy will run in and he'll actually score because your players will just run past him. So it's so stupid, and I wish they would address it because it's happening every single game. Every time I come up against someone, as soon as you score a goal, they try that. They just run past you. It's really, really annoying. Anyway, so those are a couple things that have just been kind of on my mind. In terms of where the game is at, the last video I kind of ranted a little bit that I wish they would figure out something to do for playing the game. I still am kind of in that mood. Like today, I did the 85x7 pack, ended up getting nothing. You guys will see that in the near future here. But it was just a quick SBC that we did. Didn't end up getting anything of significance. And I was just like, do I want to go on and play a game? Because I did another one of those Icon player pick packs, and I got friggin' Hugo Sanchez, who is not a card that I want. So I was just like, maybe whatever. I'll just go and try him offline. Because like I didn't want to play online. There was nothing that I wanted to play online with. I didn't feel like going into a sweaty game of division rivals at this point. And I don't think I can even play FUT Champs because my FUT Champs is awaiting a finals run because I've already done I don't think you can go back. Like if you don't go into FUT Champs finals on that weekend and you just skip it, I don't think you can go and play the qualifiers the next week, can you? You guys could probably tell me the answer to that. I don't know the answer to that, but I think it's waiting for me to play the next finals just because the finals were from the previous week. So now I've qualified and I need to go in and play it or something along those lines. So I don't know. Maybe it's a matter of just going in and hitting. Like, I'm going to play this weekend. Actually, if I did that, then I would come into the next, because it would identify as, oh, you didn't play any of your games. You entered the finals, didn't play any of it, so you get 0 points. So now I got to go into rivals and play all the points in order to get into qualification again. Yeah, that's really annoying. Anyway, something to figure out, I guess. Something for me to try during the week. But yeah, anyway, point being, like, there hasn't been any game modes that I wanted to play, so I didn't even end up playing today. I saw a leak that there is going to be a new promotion, which looks like it's taking over for What If. So I'm guessing it's going to be players that are out of position, or I don't know if it's just going to have like keepers that are outfield players and vice versa, or players that are just like swapped around. So you'll get like a Virgil van Dijk striker or something like that. I'm praying that they don't do that, because that's really stupid if they do. I don't really want to see that. They might as well just essentially get in Team of the Season, just because I don't think any of the promotions that they come up with between FUT Birthday and Team of the Season are going to move the needle. People are just going to get bored. I think they're already bored. They're essentially waiting for FUT Birthday to end, and the next promotion doesn't sound like it's very exciting. So it's just going to be treading water, hoping that people don't quit out the game. Because look, if the promotions aren't cool enough, people are just not going to play it. So I don't know. You guys tell me. Like, is there anything else that you can think of? Because it's just Team of the Season, which I believe begins at like near the end of April. So we're about 5-6 weeks out. And then that does Fuddies. But between that time, I don't know what else you could put in there. I think they've done like a Carnival was one of them. I don't know if that was any good. I can't remember. I think that was a couple of years ago. That one was fun. What was the other one that had like... Remember you could do the Ferland Mendy and you could grow him? I think that was in replace of Fuddies though. But I can't remember. It was like Summer Heat or something like that. But that was a cool one. But again, I think that has to wait till after Team of the Season, because Team of the Season is the next big money grab for them. They're going to do a couple more promotions, but I don't know what you could possibly put in packs in order to get money grabs. Anyway, I'm really interested to know what you guys think. I'm also interested to know what you guys think about leakers. Like, what do you guys think of leakers? I follow a ton of these leak accounts, and like I like them because it actually shows me what's going on. But I feel like they're turning into EA, if that makes any sense. Like, leakers used to just be like, hey, I found out that there's going to be a Raheem Sterling is going to be left-footed, and they would announce it. Now I feel like they're just EA, and they're just teasing things. They just put like the eye emojis and then like an England flag. Or they'll be like, big player announcement coming tomorrow, be on alert. And I'm just like, you're a leak account, just leak the thing. Like, I don't need you to tease the leak, because then it's not really a leak. You're just basically announcing a player, but you're doing it a couple days early. So far be it for me to tell somebody how to run their account, but I just think that it's almost become like a business now. I've also seen beef between leaker accounts. I get mad that one's stealing the other's leaks. I was like, you guys are leaker accounts. You know what I mean? It's like honor amongst thieves, I guess. But I just found it very ironic watching people like beef on Twitter, and like considering that you guys are both stealing information from Electronic Arts, and then you're getting mad at each other that someone's stealing a stolen item, I guess. I don't know. It just seems ridiculous to me. But yeah, like I don't mind the leaker accounts. I just wish that they would kind of get back to the basics. And it's like, look, if you got a cool leak, just announce it. Like, I'm sorry if that's selfish. It's just, announce the thing. Also, a lot of them are just trying to sell that leak information to try to drive up prices for their Discord so that they can have trader accounts and stuff like that. And it's like $15 a month to like involve to go into like a Discord. And I'm just like, this is a video game that I'm trying to not spend money on, and the last thing I want to do is spend money so I don't have to spend money. Right? I guess, does that make sense? And I get it. It's much cheaper if you like bought a Discord and learned how to trade properly, or just got trading tips. But, for a lot of people, like they're probably spending, $15 a month on trading tip accounts. It just is really ironic, because it's like you're robbing Peter to pay Paul to a certain degree, right? It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Everybody's got their hand out. They all want your money. So, oh, you want to not spend money on the game? We'll spend money to find out how to not spend money. Right? Just seems really stupid. So anyway, the FIFA community is a very interesting one. It can be very toxic too. Also something like, you guys know that I have that video which is the handicap video, right? Explaining handicap. It's obviously the biggest video on my channel, so I've been thankful of everybody that's found my channel through it. But I had to delete the first comment on it. I don't like deleting comments. I just think, people are entitled to their own opinion, but just some guy had he had such a stupid comment on it, and everything he did, he just came on and was hating on me. Like, first of all, he's just like, you're reading a script, so clearly you have an agenda, and blah, blah, blah. You're talking about how these are your own opinions, and clearly they're not because you're reading a script. And I'm just thinking, like, what is he talking about? It's in broken English. I don't know what language that he normally speaks, but clearly it wasn't English because it was really horribly written. But he was accusing me of just, I don't know if he was, I couldn't even figure out if he was accusing me of being an EA shill or being somebody who was just doing this for, paid or something. And I can tell you, my channel is not even big enough to get monetized, so at least yet. So I am definitely not making any money on it, but he was just accusing me of that. And then he was accusing me of saying that according to my games played or my FUT record or something that I have no authority to be making comments on these assumptions, is what he said. Something stupid along those lines. So again, I apologize for having to delete something, but when it's that toxic and idiotic, I just had to delete it. It was so stupid and it was so horribly written that I was like, I don't even want this as a comment on my channel. And again, I don't like censoring people. I don't like removing comments. But if you're just going to write something idiotic and just come at me, if somebody's going to insult me, it's okay. I don't mind. I have pretty thick skin. But when it's that stupid, I just go, this doesn't even deserve to be published on the internet. And again, I don't like doing it, but it's something that I just had to. I felt a need to have to do it because I'm very much the type to be very proud. I wear my heart on my sleeve, but I also think that actions have consequences. And for me, again, I'm very much pro, free speech. I don't like people censoring. Especially coming from EA, because I believe EA censor. I think that they've always done that. When people used to go on their forums and write about handicap, they would delete people. They would ban you from their forums for even mentioning the word handicap, right? I don't know. They would justify it as oh, you shouldn't be using that word because it's insulting to people with a mental disability. But they weren't using it in that context. They were just referring it to the game. And even if they changed it for scripting, they would still do the same thing. EA would patrol. They'd have all these little minions that would patrol their thing. So I am very anti-censorship, but at the same time, I also don't want to reward people with giving them even though it's on a very small scale, I don't like rewarding people by giving them a what's the word I'm looking for? Giving them somewhere to actually say something really idiotic. I know that you guys are probably yelling the word out to the screen. I'm probably going to yell at myself for this, but giving them a platform, I guess, to say idiotic things like that. So if someone's going to come in and insult anybody else in the channel that derogatory, or just be that idiotic and just have such an unformulated argument, I'm just going to remove it. I don't want him to feel like he can go on there and say something that stupid. So I'm not even going to repeat the name. I don't even know if I can find the name anymore, but he was so insignificant that it's not even worth the amount of time that I probably even spent talking about this. But I just wanted to answer that for anybody that might have seen that comment, which is probably very few people. If you don't see it on the channel, that's why, because I removed it. And like I said, that's the first time I've ever had to do that. I hope that I never have to do that again. But if it's anybody being racist or anything really terrible, he didn't say anything racist, but if anybody was doing anything that obvious, I would remove that stuff too. But if it's really just derogatory for being or for just being rude or trying to insult somebody on purpose, that blatant, I'm just going to remove it, because I was so irritated just reading it, because it was such a stupid and poorly written paragraph of nonsense. I couldn't even believe it. And I've read some really stupid stuff on the internet. It's the internet, man. Think of all the stupid stuff that you've read on the internet. Sometimes I find it funny, but when it's really going at somebody, I just go, this person doesn't even deserve to be heard. Unfortunately, that's one of the problems with the internet, is the internet gives a platform to people that don't deserve it. It gives a voice to people that shouldn't be heard. And in this case, I decided to remove it because they didn't deserve to be heard. So It is what it is. So we're actually, that was a really long video. That was the second day in a row that we had a really long one. That was an entire gaming session we did in terms of playing both my team, playing with Nima's team as well. I think we took some losses with my team. You guys saw like that third game. I think we took 3 losses in a row. By that third game, they were getting morale so hard. We just, I had tried to go into an ultra attacking mode, but they were hitting posts. They were just scuffing shots. They were falling all over the place, and they were not tracking runs. So we were just hoping that we could get back on the winning streak, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that with my team. So we decided not to go into a 4th game with them because they were getting handicapped so hard that I was just like, you know what? Let's just use your team, give ourselves a fresh start. I think we lost the first game, but we are able to come back in games 2 and 3. I can't remember. I guess this is the second last game that we played. So we went 1-1 with his team, and then we'll go into the final game. So we go into one final game here where hopefully we can get back on the winning streak again, because his team was actually playing okay, but he was using a 4-4-2. I really love this goal with Raheem Sterling. Again, I talked to death about Raheem Sterling in the last video and how good he is. That version of him is very good. The player of the month is very good. I just highly recommend him. He's built for FIFA. Very underrated card. Super cheap too. I think you could get that version for a couple $100K at the very most. It's probably even cheaper now. But just an awesome card, and he'll fit in your team perfectly, I guarantee it. Look at this. This guy's got like Garrincha and Eusebio. Perfect example, right? Maybe that guy bought them, who knows, but like I would just doubt it, right? I don't understand where these people get their pack luck from. Like, I just don't. I've opened like a ton of ultimate packs, a ton of jumbo rare players. So like, where are these guys getting their pack luck from? Is it from those guaranteed player picks? Is it from icon packs? Man, like, I have not packed Eusebio. I've packed none of these guys. I'm just jealous, right? Like, I just want one of them. How come I can't get them? Why am I getting, like, all the scrubs of the world? I keep getting, like, English players. I packed Rivaldo twice. Like, Rivaldo? Like, Rivaldo is revolting. I don't want friggin' Rivaldo. Like, he's terrible. Even though I liked the player in real life, he's not built for FIFA because he's got such a terrible weak foot. And his dribbling is good, but he's got whatever, I don't know if it's balance or his agility, but he's just really, really super stiff, and he doesn't translate well in FIFA. And then like Steven Gerrard and Hugo Sanchez, and I think the best one I've got is that mid Rooney, and he's still not even that great. I was contemplating this. I had a quick second where I was just like, maybe I'll use my icon swap to just do one of the player picks, but I'm just like, you know what, Mark, don't do it. Stick to the plan. Go for Cafu. Cafu's the man. If I get Cafu, I'll contemplate, taking out Hakimi. Maybe I can just go with Cafu because I was looking with a shadow. He's basically 99 in terms of his pace. Very, very good card, and he might just, be as good, if not maybe even better defensively than Hakimi. Even though Hakimi is fantastic, Hakimi's tradable, so I can use those coins to potentially get an even bigger player. Maybe I can get Prime Puskas or somebody like that, but yeah, I was tempted to do it, but I was like, you know what, don't get sucked into EA, because if you put your fate in EA's hands and let them give you picks or let them give you a pack of randomness, you're going to get junk, period. 99% of the time you're going to get junk. So I look at a team like that and I just go, oh my god, this guy got Eusebio, but I can't get sucked into that because I am not going to get Eusebio. I am going to get like Deco or someone crap. So that is that's my PSA for the day. Don't get sucked into garbage, because if you leave your fate in EA's hands, they're going to screw you over. But that is going to be the end of the episode, guys. The next episode is going to be our FUT Champs run, so look out for that in the next day or two. And until next time, guys, take care. Peace.